Say what?
Hello and welcome back. It's time for Say What, where we hear from those connected to our industry about what's going on in our world of electrical apprenticeship. Of course, that includes the topics that you've been suggesting. So please keep those coming. It's always great to be with you. I love doing this. I love hearing from you. I love hearing about what we're doing. And today, another fantastic moment of getting to know each other better, to hear people's stories. So we are going to hear from my friend, Renee Dozier. She is a business agent and trustee at IBW Local 103. Just kind of wanted you to share. I've heard you speak about your experience, like coming into the industry, you know, kind of point A to now, really. And I just thought I want people to hear it. Like I enjoyed so much. I think the last time I heard you was at the EWMC conference this year. Yeah, like where you shared, and it was just powerful to me. So I was like, oh, I want her to share that, you know, with anybody who would listen to this. So like, just tell us, like, how did you get here to the industry and then where you are now?
Okay, so how did I get here? It was purely by, you know, how there's no coincidences, right? So I was, okay. How do I be? All right. So I went to school to be a parole officer, and it just wasn't working with those. I couldn't, for kids with bad kids and at DYS, I just couldn't do it. I didn't want to restrain anybody. They didn't want my help, and I didn't, I just couldn't do it. So I still was doing it, and my father had came up here to visit from Florida, and he was telecommunications tech for 9X, Ma Bell back in the day. And he said, I have three brothers, and none of them wanted to help him with work because he's a carpenter too. And I'm like, all right, come on, I'll do it. I'll help you. And he said, you're good with your hands. I was doing tile and stuff. I was like, I like this pretty work. So he's like, you should apply for the union. So I was like, what is even that? Because my father, I didn't grow up with him. He was just coming up to visit from Florida. And I was like, I love him, but we weren't, growing up, he wasn't there. But he's there now, but growing up, he wasn't there. So anyway, he told me I should apply. So I applied, and I actually, in between applying, and I had two babies, and one was 4 and one was a brand new baby. And I found myself homeless, and I was just in a bad place. And he mentioned applying for the union, and I applied, and then I got a letter to his house, or my aunt's house, I'm sorry, up here in Boston, because I didn't have an address. And she said, you got a letter for an interview, and it's today. And she opened my mail and told me it was today. So I was like, okay. So I packed my baby, and I came up to the union hall, and I did my interview. And the lady at the front desk, who she retired, her name is Miss Diane. She comes here twice a week. She watched my baby so I can come in here and do my interview. And it was like, I'm getting choked up because she's everything. But anyway, she was, she watched the babies for me so I can come in here, and I did my interview, and I got in. So I took the test, I did the interview, and I got in. So, and even then, I didn't even know what I was signing up for. I just know that I needed something radical in my life, and that was it.
You've got me a little bit like emotional too, because just thinking, the parole officer, I'm like, I could see it. I could see you doing it. And then it's like, also because you are so loving and caring and compassionate, it would make you fantastic at that. And also I could see where that wasn't a good fit, because that wasn't the kind of work you would want to do. But I'm just, 2 kids, homeless. And then I look at you now, right? Like, I don't want to fast forward too long, but it's like, man, like you decided, hey, I got to do something, right? I got to make a change. Yeah. But you couldn't have done it without, and you said Miss Diane, right?
Yes.
Like, I think about someone like that and I think we forget, right? There's people sitting at training centers, contractors' offices, union halls right now that can be that to someone, not judging them walking in with their baby, but recognizing like, here's somebody who is trying to do their best for themselves and their family and can make that kind of difference. Like, that's huge.
It's huge. And you don't even know how powerful you are. Like, everybody has a story. Everybody's going through something. Everybody's battling something. But just you being a little bit compassionate that is so powerful. That tool that everybody has with them. You gotta your life is not your own. That's where I stand now. Like, I am here to be a service to everybody, because who am I if I can't serve? Who am I if I can't help somebody? Who am I? Like, what am I here for? So that's one thing, like little things like that, it's small to her. Even today she brought me an English muffin, I'm like, thank you. But can you imagine, like 22 years later, I'm in the office with her, like, no, it's crazy how life is. It's beautiful.
It is. Beautiful was honestly, it was the word I was thinking. Like, it is so beautiful. So you get in, you go through the apprenticeship, and then like, what happens next? Like, you're working in the field.
Yep. I'm working in the field. That's it. I just showed up. Like, I knew I had a purpose. I had to do, like I said, be radical, there was no no's for me. You couldn't tell me no. I didn't know anything about electrical. I didn't know what a ground screw was. I remember my first day in class, Mr. Dugan, he was like making jokes about ground screws and all these things. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But I just smiled and nodded like, yep. And there was no Google or any of that stuff back then, So I was just, just making my way through. Like, I know you don't have to know it all. You don't have to know much, but your attitude dictates where you land, right? And I knew that I had two small babies that relied on me. And I said, this is not negotiable. I knew there was a promise on the other side of this apprenticeship, that I'm going to make this money, that I'm going to have the best healthcare for my kids. I'm going to pull them out of whatever situation, my bad mistakes, what I did to us, because I have to own it, because I made these mistakes. I was a young mother, but so what? I own it. And even in that, like, I knew that, it's even that's something. I see my mother do it too. So my mother, her bounce back was strong. And, I'm a second generation project kid. We grew up with, addiction was riddled in our family. And like, I seen her go from nothing to something. I know that it's possible, so she is everything to me.
So because you saw it, right? And then now you do it. So someone is seeing and has seen you. So it's like this beautiful circle that keeps, keeps influencing, keeps pushing people forward to know that anything is possible. Really. So how did you get, go ahead. No, please.
I was just saying that there's two sides to everything, right? So somebody will say, oh, I grew up in addiction and I grew up in the projects. Okay, now what? Like, there's two sides to everything, like, you can make it better. You can, whatever it is that you're going through, you can make it better. And that's the stuff that it shows you what you're made of, and shows you how to be resilient and start training your muscles. But you don't see that while you're going through it, but everything that we go through is for a reason, and you just embrace it. You act like it's delicious, you eat it up, and the other side is going to be good.
Okay, I'm so stealing that. Like, act like it's delicious and eat it up. Like, I'm totally using that. That will be in my household. That's going to be in a lot of things that I do. That's it, though, because sometimes you do feel alone in this, and I think that's one thing we're working on as an industry. Whether it's suicide prevention or mental health awareness or our diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging efforts. This idea of making sure people do feel a part of something and that they do have people to rely on, because it is hard when you're trying to do it all on your own, right? Inspire yourself, motivate yourself, so I think, your point is still valid that, okay, I'm here, but now what? Like, I still have a choice, even if no one is backing me. Like, I still have that choice, but I love the fact that now we're looking and seeing more efforts toward, okay, let's do this together. Like, you don't have to be there. You still have to do it, right? I can't do it for you. I can't make you want anything, but I can be there to support you through it.
That's right.
And I think that's okay. So now, you've done your work in the field. Like, let's talk about now. Like, how did you get where you are? Like, the positions that you are, what you're doing now?
Okay. So I I hate attention, right? I don't like when people are like, oh, Renee, no, it wasn't me. It was that person there. I was always bring up the people with things I cannot. It's not about me. It's a we thing, right? So I was working at the casino, and I wanted to share this part too. I was working at the casino, and it was the biggest, mostly women job in the country. It had a PLA on it. It was like an example that the whole country should use for the standards and requirements for folks on a job. And I was working on this job, and I was laid off, and I got picked up to go to this job. And the guy I was working for was the biggest. Oh Lord, he was here to teach me something, right? He was not easy. And I was like, I've never dragged up from a job, but I was like, you know what? There's plenty of work. Like, I'm about to be off of this. And then something just said, Renee, what would you tell your kids to do? Like, just hold on a little longer. So I just said, even this man is here to teach me something. I don't know what it is, but that was, whew, yeah. So anyways, he ended up, they demoted him from foreman, and they gave me another foreman, and I got put on power and distribution for the casino. And then I tell you, that was the best gig of my life. I worked so many hours. I learned so much. I was walking around with my super suit. Like, I loved that job. It was amazing. I got to meet everybody that was getting onboarding, because we had, maintenance was coming in and stuff like that. So I got to meet people, and then I ended up taking an in-house electrician position at Encore, so I could help turn them union. So, and that was just like, and again, I was just blind yeses. I had no idea what I'm going, what I'm doing. I had no idea, but there's no accidents, right? And you follow your GPS, and that's what I did. And so we ended up organizing the casino, and it went 103. Then I came back, and then my brother had passed away, and I got his baby, so I got a job closer to home as a wire inspector, and I was the first Black woman wire inspector for the state. So that was like, so it's kind of like things like they're bad and good and bad and good. And how did I get here? So then I guess that kind of got me noticed, because with the organizing with the casino, and I think we're all organizers. We all do it, low key. But then Lou asked me if I wanted to be an agent, and I was like, I love my job as a wire inspector. I mean, I fell in love with the code because I got to do fire investigations. I realized why this was that, and why because we know it in the book, but if you see it, it's different, right? This is why you have to do this. Why the ground and everything. I fell in love with the code book, and I got to hang out with some of the most knowledgeable old white men. Turned out to be all my mentors. These old grouchy whatevers. But they didn't know I love them, and they learned to love me, right? But so then Lou Antonellis asked me if I would be an agent, because Canel Broomstein, she was the agent before, and she opened her own shop. Nothing but love for that one. I love that girl. But so Lou asked me if I wanted to come on, and I was like, what, me? I didn't even think that I still don't even know, but here I am. Yeah. So yeah, Lou is the man. Lou is compassionate. Lou is he sees the vision. He has a daughter in the field, a son in the field. Like, I don't know. I didn't even know him like that because, like I said, I was very low key. I didn't even, I would, I helped, the president organize, and I helped, do that kind of stuff. But I was very like, I mind my business. I don't know what's going on. I stay out the, the arguments, the Facebook BS and all that. I'm like, nah, because yeah. So here I am. He asked me to be an agent 3 years ago, and I call myself a third-year apprentice agent because it's like so much. And I'll say, Lou, I'm tired. And he was like, good. You're supposed to be tired. That means that you're doing something you never done before. We're all tired. Like, suck it up. Oh, well. And I'm like, damn. But don't be easy on me because iron sharpens iron. And I never seen anybody work as hard as that man, So
and you grabbed your super suit. That I caught that when you said it, because it's like, I'm going to put on, and you've done that. Like, and I just hearing you, like, here you are now, you weren't seeking it, right? It came because of your hard work, because of who you are. And because of you just were you. And I think that's, not to say there's anything wrong with people aspiring to positions and leadership or whatever roles. Like, that's great if that's in someone's, goals, but just to see your path. But I mean, I can't help but to go back to this moment of your dad comes to visit, you're helping him, and then from there, from this place of where, again, most people would find themselves. And rightfully so. This is not critical or judgmental, but like, you're homeless, you've got children, like turning to something that might feel more immediate. I mean, you're talking about you have to go through an application, an interview process. You have to go through school and training, and you have to work like, that is not fast. And so like to see that. So what would you like, if someone identifies with anything in your story, right? Any part of it, like, how do you encourage that person? What do you say to them if they're like, man, Renee's talking and I'm like, I feel this, I understand parts of who she is or was. And so what do you say to them?
I say, this is an investment in yourself, right? When I started, I made $7 an hour, and I took a pay cut to get here, even in that situation. But the thing that got me was that I knew that I can get out of this thing exactly what I put into it. So if I can rely on myself to put in what I need to put in to get to the other side, because the only person you can rely on is yourself. And can you rely on yourself to invest in yourself? Can you do that? Because otherwise, don't bother. Don't waste someone else's spot. Don't waste your time. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But you need to learn how to work hard and be resilient, because this thing isn't easy, but it's worth it. It's worth every sore muscle. Is worth every, this guy don't like me, they don't talk to me. It's worth all of that. Every bit of, if you go through mess on a jobs, it's worth it. Like my first job, they didn't want me there. Shoot, they gave me a reel of wire, 1,000 foot, and say, bring it up to the top floor on a roof. And I'm in a basement, and I had never touched a reel of wire before in my life. So I'm like, he said, okay, bring this up to the roof. I'm like, all right, I'll figure it out. They didn't show me and nothing. And it took me, I was like probably on the 4th floor, and the guy pulled me aside and got a piece of pipe and said, we're going to do it together. So it's just, and it's going to be like that. And it's going to be like that in the world. It's going to be like that here. It's going to be like that, period. But it depends on how you respond to it. I mean, I'm old school. So I really, some of the, the younger folks, they're different. Even my kids are different because they're brats. I coddled them, excuse me. So they're not used to working hard. They're not used to grinding it out. They want that instant gratification. They want that instant, they look online, they get something easy, it's not that. It's a 5-year apprenticeship. You earn every penny. You work for every point. You keep your reputation. You don't mess around with those guys and girls on a job. You don't do it. You just don't. You got to keep stuff clean. And I'm telling you this because I've done it and I know, and I was 21-year-old girl on a job, and I see all these fine men and these big shoulders, and I'm like, oh Lord, where am I at? No, don't do it. don't do it. Don't do it. Because you just don't do it. You got to exercise some self-control. And I know some people don't agree with me, and that's fine. You can have your opinion too, but you just keep it clean, because it's going to be a long career, and you don't want to have that reputation. Yeah, you know how guys talk worse than girls. So just keep it, I don't make friends when I say that, but I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to love you, and I'm here to tell you what I know. And if it don't work, if you don't like it, that's too bad. But just, I'm telling you to, like I tell my own kids.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you say? I love that. And I think being able to speak from, experience, and also like, hey, be careful, like there's things that are just better practices. It's not bad. It's just better, right? To do things a certain way. So what about the Miss Dianes, right? The Lou's, the person that helped you at the fourth floor, your instructors, like, what do you tell them when they're recruiting for apprenticeship or dealing with people that are just getting in? Like, what would you say to that person about seeing the potential in an applicant and not being, watching out for that bias, right? That they see the person walking in who may not look like every other apprentice in their program or may not have the same story. Like, what do they do to become what these people have in your life?
Just like we said earlier, everybody's here for something, and everybody's lifing, and that oak tree is in that acorn, like they are whatever we make them. So I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Miss Diane. Everybody plays a role in everybody's life, so I know there's some folks that can't, they hear my story like, well, that's not me, and that's fine. But we all have to fill each other up one way or the other. We have to invest in each other, because at the end of the day, this is a brotherhood. This is a sisterhood. And we all, and my brother, God bless him, he and him used to beef like crazy, but could nobody else mess with my brother, So act like we're brothers and sisters. Let's act like it, So teach them, show them something different, because at the end of the day, we're all they're paying into our pensions. We're an organization. We need to be there for each other. We got to invest in each other. We got to be deliberate. We got to be intentional. And honestly, I think that's the part that's missing. Like, people just do their day to day and they're not intentional. They just, block out stuff and they call it soft skills, right? And I'm like, those are really what makes us the strongest. And I'm gonna tell you, the first half of my life, I lived no emotions. My brother and my mother, they both would say to me, how do you do it? How do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. I just turn it off, and I threw it away. And now they're both gone now, but I'm a crying mess. I can't help it. I'm just like, cause it's just real. It's real. It's real. It's real. And that thing only that fence that we build up to protect ourselves only lasts so long. And then those soft skills are really what make us strong. When you can relate to people, when you can plant seeds into people, when you build people up and you show them that it's possibility that they have in this career. You could be the freaking wire inspector. You could be the foreman. You could be the general foreman. You could own your own shop. There's nothing you can't be, do, or have. We need to learn how to invest into our siblings. And I know a lot of folks just don't think that it's worth it, but it's a real investment,
And I think you use the word intentional, and I feel like that's where it's at, right? Is recognizing change happens, right? Change is just a part of life. And so things may be a little different than they were 10, 15, 20 years ago in how we do things. But the idea is, let's be intentional about people and those skills. I mean, I've never been the person, right? I didn't go through the apprenticeship. I'm not that person with the technical skills, but it doesn't matter when you can have the people skills, people call them life skills, whatever you want to say. But this idea of being intentional, because we can't be who we're supposed to be without that. And we can't reach our goals. There's this membership goal, right? That President Cooper has put out. There's market share. There's all these things. We want our job sites. We want our training centers to look like the community around us. We want it to look like our world. And so in order to do that, we've got to be intentional, when we're reaching out. So I think that was such a good point that you're making is, we have a choice there, right? Like we can choose to do this the way it should be done, or we can try to do what we've always done, which will not work now. Like it's not going to work.
Cindy, it's failing us. And that's the part, like, I know I'm part Neanderthal, and my kids remind me, like, no, even my 10-year-old, he's so sensitive. And I'm like, my God, where do you come from? Like, stop it. And I'm like, no, Renee, that's what makes him strong. Like, it's like this new generation, and we have to adapt, or we're going to die. We're going to die.
Yeah. Yeah. We can learn. So we can always learn from someone, right? There's never a day we should stop learning something, whatever the skills are. So thank you. Thank you for so much for taking your time. It's just, you have this beautiful story. It's so real, and you share it that way. You don't hold back. You're like, hey, this is me. This is what I've learned. This is why I'm here, and you're why our industry is what it is. You're why we're capable of anything, is because people like you come and they go through the hard stuff, and then they give back to the community, right? To the industry, to our brother and sisterhood. So I appreciate you so very much.
I appreciate you, Cindy. You do the same thing. You do the same thing. You do. You're a mama. You're taking time away from your babies to go to conventions and NTIs and stuff like that. And you're giving of yourself. So I see you too. It's not easy. You want to be what you want to be home, but you got work to do, Yeah. And that's commendable.
Well, thank you so much. And again, thank you. I know you've got some important things going on today, so we're going to let you get back to that. But I appreciate you so much.
You're very welcome, my love. I'll see you later.
Yes, you will.
All right.
I hope that you all enjoyed listening to Renee as much as I did. Thank you, Renee. Truly cannot thank you enough for sharing who you are with us every day, certainly today, but every day, for what you do for our industry, and how you make us all better. Just so appreciative of you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep being you. You are just beautiful inside and out. Big thanks to you, the listeners, for joining us. Remember that we want to hear from you. So if there are things that you want to talk about, if you want to come join us on a podcast, send an email to saywhat, that's SAYWATT, at electricaltrainingalliance.org. Our next episode will drop in September. Until then, stay connected with us through our newsletters, through social media, through listening to this podcast, and be sure to subscribe, tell someone about it. Stay powered up, and we will see you next time.
Say what?